Zelos Phoenix himself is kind of interesting. Phoenix is kind of a random last name that I just enjoy. It's a cool, epic last name. Zelos itself, though, the name comes from the Skies of Arcadia Zelos. In the game, the final Gigas, the Gigas of Life and Death, actually I think that was the title I gave it, the Silver Gigas. His name was Zelos. It was a giant silver sphere of death that would, it just had the power to basically destroy continents. And the rumor was that it had destroyed something, and okay, so Zelos was basically stolen from Skies of Arcadia. It is not from that freaking, what is it, Tales of Symphonia or whatever that game is. No, Zelos from Skies of Arcadia came first by a good 3 years, people. I think it was 3 years, I don't know. But anyway, that's where that came from. Kajidoh Nolan, on the other hand. I think I've said this before, but we'll do it again because it's a fun trivia video. Kajidoh's name... This is Shaden Hall. I thought I was near Bruma. Dang, I'm bad. Anyway. Jeez. Anyway. Kajidoh's first name is the name of a special demon. However, I'm certain that most people would know the name Kajidoh from Super Mario RPG instead. That was the Japanese name for Smithy. So if you know who Smithy is, his Japanese name was Kajidoh. And as far as I can tell, those are the only 2 other places that I've ever seen the name Kajidoh used before Tales from Cyrodiil. So I just kind of like to say that, I don't know, I managed to get, like, a somewhat unique use of this name, because I haven't seen it anywhere other than, like, the legendary demon and Super Mario RPG, so that's kind of cool to know. Nolan is kind of a random last name. I had this guy, his name was Bobby, and he wrote Yu-Gi-Oh! Stories with me on Pojo.com. And one of his stories that he stopped writing, he had a character whose last name... actually, maybe... One of his names was Nolan. And I know this sounds really bad because I'm, like, praising his writing, but I don't remember the guy's name for sure, but it was a great story, and I just kind of swiped the name Nolan from him because it was, like, one of my favorite characters. So that's how you get Kajidoh Nolan. I actually have, like, a stupid way... Oh, wait. That was about to be huge spoilers. Let's not do that. Let's go on to Sean and Hunter. So, hey, Sean, how's it going? I don't know, Hunter. Let's freaking tell them where our names come from. Well, it could be a little thing called D-Generation X. Yeah, that's right. It's probably a blatant enough reference, but it really is D-Generation X from the old WWF days, or if you prefer the 2006 version of D-Generation X, Triple H and HBK Shawn Michaels. That is definitely where not only their names come from, but I guess kind of their voices kind of show up from there too, so that should have gone in the previous segment, but whatever. Actually, blast. Something I forgot to mention in the previous segment is Sean's voice. You can randomly find it on a guard in Tales Episode 1 and 2. Not until Episode 4 did I actually give it the voice of a main character. So yeah, Sean and Hunter are the names of 2 wrestlers in character that I just decided to swipe and give a goofy persona to and call them the Nefarious Thugs. The term Nefarious Thugs actually, I don't remember where that came from. I think Nefarious was just like a word that I liked at the time, so I decided to call them that. But yeah, that's about the gist of that. Benji's very random. I don't have much memory of how I created Benji. He's just kind of like supposed to be a derpy sidekick. He lisps on all his S's, and he can't really pronounce his S's. So, I don't know. I really wish I had more trivia about Benji, but I don't remember any of his creation or what I was trying to do besides just give Kajidoh a stupid sidekick. So there's that. Kind of the same with Tyron. Tyron's just... I don't know. It's just random to me. Vath, Zerves, and Engo are not quite as random, though. So while we're at the Dark Brotherhood hideout here, might as well talk about Vath, right? Vath is actually a name that, yeah, you did see it in my Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, Destiny's Horizon and Zero Freeze. However, it was in neither Oblivion nor Yu-Gi-Oh! First. It was meant to be a mod that I was going to make for StarCraft 2. I was going to make a special campaign involving these really creepy, like... I guess if you want to compare them to the Flood from Halo, they were going to be similar to that, except they were going to be sentient. Like, they're not just mindless soldiers trying to devour people and eat them. these things were completely sentient, and they're trying to, like, absorb life essence and stuff, and Vath was actually going to be the main character of a mod where some members of the Terran are trying to beat down this alien virus. However, Vath was going to betray his second-in-command, Ango, and actually, halfway through the series, you would become the villain, and instead have to infiltrate your previous Terran bases and get around previous officers and wear disguises and stuff in order to get essential information on the Xel'Naga and ways to actually control this virus as opposed to destroying it, which I know ended up seeming a little reminiscent of what the StarCraft story actually is, so it wasn't like a terribly creative story, but I kind of wanted to create a half-adventure, half-horror series, because the reveal of this virus was going to be kind of horror-esque. Supposed to be, like, very creepy and stuff, so that was going to be kind of fun. Their character motivations and stuff are pretty usual. Vath was always going to be, like, calm and intelligent, but devious, and Ango just kind of impatient, wants to kill everything, kind of power-hungry. I know you guys don't know much about Ango as far as, like, my Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff goes, or Tales even, because I just haven't done that many episodes on camera, but yeah, that's about how those guys should go. Mostly what I'm interested in talking about with Vath is his history with Kajidoh. I'm going to give, like, one minor spoiler in the next segment, so be careful of that. I'm just going to let you know ahead of time. I swear it is a minor spoiler, for Tales 15 even, so we're just one episode away. But Vath and Kajidoh don't have the history you might expect them to. Okay, for those of you who, again, don't know, Vath and Kajidoh, their series goes back as far as a Yu-Gi-Oh! Story that I wrote called Yu-Gi-Oh! Zero Freeze. The zero had an X because I thought I was cool. I don't freaking know anymore. But anyway, in that story, their roles are almost completely reversed from what you might expect given what you saw in Tales. In my Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff, their backstory goes as this, is that they're both working for a cult called the Society of Sin, and they're actually they're just partners together. They are complete allies. Kajidoh's personality and Vath's personality are more or less what you would expect given Tales from Cyrodiil. They still kind of have the same character motivations and personas and stuff. However, at the very end of Zero Freeze, it's Vath that betrays Kajidoh, whereas in Tales from Cyrodiil 15, we'll find out that it was Kajidoh who betrayed Vath. So I reversed the history in my Tales stuff mainly. In Yu-Gi-Oh!, where they start to slightly differ from their Tales counterparts, is that Kajidoh is not a cowardly, bumbling idiot. He's actually a very formidable, and in some places, scary villain. He outright defeats the main character of my Yu-Gi-Oh! Destiny's Horizon story, and he is completely driven by the sentiment of revenge and going after Vath completely. Kajidoh has one minion in most of my Yu-Gi-Oh! Stories named Tomko, which is another wrestling reference for those of you who can probably guess who. But Kajidoh is not cowardly at all. Vath isn't cowardly either. So, in fact, they have more of a face-to-face die relationship, as opposed to in Tales, where one of them is acting like a complete coward. Thus far, Kajidoh just completely fearing even the mention of the name Vath. And as we'll see in Tales 15, Vath has some things to say about that. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't really know what prompted this change. I think it's because when I wanted to originally make Tales a completely comedy series, I wanted a comic foil for Zelos, as opposed to a serious foil. So Kajidoh's the bumbling idiot villain in this series, whereas in my Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff, he is a completely serious and dangerous individual to be nearby. Kajidoh would have also been a completely serious and dangerous to be by villain in Tales from Skyrim, whether it was his offspring version or his regular version. So yeah, I don't know, just different character motivations at different times, I suppose. Speaking of different, I guess, kind of different character motivations, let's maybe talk about some of how I was going to push certain characters, but some things kind of fell through. In particular, I'd like to talk about the doubles in Tales from Cyrodiil. By doubles, I mean pairs of two. So Cleon and Captain Blue are a double. They're like always together doing stuff. Ruined Tail and Megaean are a double. Sean and Hunter are a double. Benji and Tyron are a double. Osorio and Rogelio, if you guys remember the Merc Genesis, were supposed to be a major double in the story. What I was doing was I was constructing all these doubles so that I could have them feud with each other, because I thought, man, there's a lot of like partners of two and stuff, so why don't we try to build some of these partners together, and let's actually make them formidable at some point. The main feud I wanted to do was Osorio and Rogelio against Captain Blue and Cleon. So how Captain Blue and Cleon kind of bicker with each other. They were actually supposed to more so bicker against Osorio and Rogelio. I didn't intend for Cleon and Captain Blue to outright hate each other as much as they still do after the Merc Genesis saga. They were supposed to start getting along, and later on, Osorio and Rogelio would come back, and they would feud with Captain Blue and Cleon, who finally try to, like, make amends and team up to get these guys. Unfortunately, though, as far as I know, the real Edge, who was doing the voices of Osorio and Rogelio, he just kind of vanished on me. So I was unable to complete the build that I wanted for these two Merc Genesis characters. In fact, kind of a shame, as I think all my Merc Genesis characters, except for Xantical, they kind of vanished on me, which I cannot blame them. There's no way I can blame them, because look how slow I was going with Tails, and I'm still going with Tails, come to think of it. So it's not like I'm going to bash the voice actors and actresses for disappearing, but it just kind of sucks that I kind of screwed it up by going too slow, more or less. The other thing I had in mind for Osorio, in particular, is I eventually wanted him to be pushed to, like, kind of a... almost kind of like to main eventer status in the original Season 2 build. So Season 2 was going to have this special villain that I won't be too spoilerific on, because I may or may not still use this idea. There's going to be a villain in Season 2 that Osorio would actually step up and fight. What would have happened is, if anyone remembers Tales 11, Zelos and Osorio stop fighting because they feel too embarrassed about the people asking for mods and stuff, so they just decide to hold off their fight. And this was actually going to be the start of a mutual respect between the two when they encounter each other again in Season 2. Osorio no longer wants to fight Zelos, even though Nikolai and the rest of the Merc Genesis still want revenge. So Osorio, he wouldn't really make a face turn, he'd just kind of be an anti-hero. He would eventually rebel against Nikolai and basically say, this Merc Genesis thing is stupid, you guys are stupid for wanting revenge, Zelos and them are actually doing a good thing for the world, and go off on his own. Because while Osorio doesn't want to be with the Merc Genesis anymore, he's not just gonna, you know, jump ship to Zelos' faction at the same time. He's gonna go off and do his own thing. And then eventually take a stand against the main villain from Season 2. And actually do pretty darn good against him before losing. So I wanted to actually build Osorio as a serious fighter. So in the tournament that's coming up, Osorio probably would have made like semifinals or something, because I wanted to build him as a serious fighter. See, when I want to build someone as a serious fighter, I don't want them to look like a complete goofball, like Cleon mainly. So if I'm actually pushing someone and giving them fighting victories, that actually means I want them to be something later on, possibly, so... basically, I'm trying not to make any too outrageous scenarios, like, if Cleon just suddenly defeated Vath in a battle or something, everyone should realistically look at that and be like, that's crappy writing. There's no way Cleon would ever stand a chance. But someone like Osorio, if I wanted him to go up against the main villain of Season 2, I would have, like, had to build his character throughout Season 1. So, I don't know, if Real Edge is out there, maybe we can work something out, but... And I guess if Klaus is out there as well, because I miss my Nikolai voice actor, too. If I want to bring back the Merc Genesis, I don't really want to do all this voice swapping thing. I've got some things to say about that later on in this video, but yeah, so... That was kind of what was supposed to happen with Osorio and Rogelio. Let's maybe go on to a similar topic of some things that were supposed to happen. this thing called Opposite Day that I wanted to do, and I might even still do this, so don't think just because I'm saying things in these videos that it means it's completely cancelled, because Opposite Day seems like it could still be a fun idea. It's exactly what you might think, is everything in this episode of Tales from Cyrodiil, called Opposite Day, is the opposite of what it would normally be. So, in fact, you might get something like, "Hey, Captain Blue, can I try your catapult?" "Oh, sorry, Jello, I don't think it's ready yet." You might get something like that, where everyone is acting completely the opposite of what they normally would be acting. So, of course, this would mean that Zelos has to be, like, a little stupider and a little less serious. People like Captain Blue have no interest in people trying their catapult. Maybe they even hate catapults. Cleon is very humble and things like that. Ruined Tail is like an atheist or something. I'm not really sure what the opposites of all these characters were, but I had some like really goofy specific ideas, like that the opposite of Kajidoh is a broomstick. So you go to like the Imperial Palace, and there's a shot of Benji and Tyron standing in front of this broomstick that's on the Imperial throne, and then suddenly Kajidoh's voice just starts coming out of this broomstick. So I wanted to do something like that. And I was actually going to make it a thing every 10 episodes, so that kind of gives you an idea of what I intended to do with Tales in the beginning, and how many episodes I wanted. Is I would do this just opposite day thing every 10 episodes, where everything would be reversed and just nothing makes sense. I have a specific thing with the Nefarious Thugs in mind as well, that even... I'll spoil it next time if I just never get to it, but that one I'm going to save. Actually... I don't know, I'm probably going to hype it up now and it'll be disappointing by the end, but whatever, so maybe forget about that one, I don't know. But yeah, Opposite Day was kind of a funny thing that I wanted to do, and maybe, hopefully, I'll still do. The only question that would beg is, like, what would the opposite of Vath and Engo be? Because they're just so, like, they're so deathly serious about everything. How do you... I don't know, the only, like, my only concern is that I might ruin a character like Vath or Engo if I put them in Opposite Day, because they're supposed to be the main plot of Tales from Cyrodiil. They're not really meant to showcase any goofiness whatsoever, so they might not even appear in Opposite Day if I do it. I might have to do something else. There's just something kind of fun. So those are some things that were lost. Let's maybe talk about some things I'd like to redo as far as Tales goes, though. In particular, I would like to redo, at some point, Tales episodes 1 and 2. So, the main reason I would like to redo Tales 1 and 2 doesn't have to do with editing or anything. It's just because, right now, the series has no formal introduction to a lot of important characters. Like, Cleon and Captain Blue just kind of randomly show up in Tales 3. That's more or less their introduction. But Shivan, Ruined Tail... even people like Zelos and Kajidoh, they don't have a formal introduction. People like Benji and Tyron kind of have an introduction in the now deleted Ruined Tail, like, prologue episodes that I got rid of those, finally. But yeah, even Zelos and Kajidoh, there's just no start to the series. It just kind of lops you into the middle, but calls it episode 1. I'm not a huge fan of doing this. A lot of series have pulled that off successfully, where they just say, this crap's been going on for a while, but they at least spend some time to tell you who the characters are. I never did that with Tales. I just assume that anyone who watches the series knows who a lot of these characters are from my mod reviews and stuff, but that might not necessarily be the case. So, if I redo Tales episode 1 and 2, I'm thinking I could either do it as like a giant episode 0 thing, where I like introduce the characters, or I might just take 1 and 2 and shift it forward to 3 and 4 and so on. Like, I would shift the episode count over by 2. I don't know how much that would bug people. I think it would bug me because I've made reference to Tales episode by numbers a lot, especially in this video. So I might screw with my own head if I just suddenly shift the episode count over to the right too. So I don't know, an episode 0 is more likely, but it would kind of be like a 2-part thing, I guess, I don't know. Basically just so you could get a first-hand look at, like, you know, Zelos and Shivan running into each other for the first time or something. I don't know, things like that. Because the original 1 and 2, they just don't make sense in context anymore. Like, I remember when occasionally I Google my stuff to see if, like, anyone's talking about it and how people are reacting off the channel. Just so I can get an idea of what's going on outside my channel. And I remember one time I stumbled upon this, this forum where someone had posted a link to Tales Episode 1, and they said, watch this, it's really hilarious. And someone said that, like, it wasn't for them, the comedy didn't seem to fit their taste or whatever, and they also pointed out that they had no idea who these characters were, and it was like, back then I started thinking, huh, you know, that's pretty true. Nobody really does know who these characters are. I'm just, again, literally assuming that you know who they are by watching my mod reviews. If you don't, you have no clue what's going on. There's just people fighting for some reason. So, it's not going to tell the origin between why Zelos and Kajidoh hate each other. This episode 0 would literally just be, you know that Kajidoh and Zelos hate each other for some reason. The point of something like Wrath of Dawn, that's more so the origin story that I'm looking for, but, so I don't know, there just might be a new start to Tales from Cyrodiil at some point. However, I'm not going to redo every episode after that. The thing that would bug me about this is that then people would be able to watch episode 0 and see, like, my newer style and voices and things, and then they would go to episode 1 and be like, what the flid? What happened to the editing quality? And because, like, some of the first videos are in 480p and the dimensions are screwed up, I wasn't trying with the music. I didn't know the music trick until Tales 10, so it wouldn't make sense. It looks more fancy in episode 0, but I guess, like, other series have done this too, so I don't know what I'm rambling about. So I don't know, just some kind of, like, actual introduction to the series at some point you should hopefully be able to expect. And then maybe things like Wrath of Dawn, if I can pick those up later on. I would like to tell you guys the stories of, like, some things that happened in the past. Go back to Tales 6, when Zelos is fighting Vath, he references someone named Kenzo. That's still canon. Just because I put it in a Zelda Classic game doesn't mean it's not canon anymore. I've still got things I want to tell you guys. So I guess that then begs the question, what are some things maybe you could see in the future? Well, I don't know. Let's give you maybe some minor spoilers. Let's talk about a couple future characters for trivia's sake, because why not? Cocaintium. Everyone's been kind of curious if Cocaintium from my random Oblivion adventure is going to sneak his way into the Tales universe. And, long answer short, yes, he is. What the heck is happening? Is this like this in the game, or did a mod move this? Anyway, Cocaintium is our first contestant to come on up to the main Tales roster. In fact, for those of you who watched a certain stream of mine, you already know he's actually part of the Tales universe. I just haven't gotten around to posting that yet because I don't know where I want to put it. So, yes, anyway. I don't know if the whole Thief Romancers will show up. If they do, I'm going to need voice actors and actresses for them because there's no freaking way I'm just making all that crap up off the top of my head. I was also very hesitant to do Cocaintium's voice myself. I guess people really liked the accent I gave him, though, so I will try my best. The only problem I have with Cocaintium is I seem to have a hard time remembering his voice. I do not remember it off the top of my head right now. Like, let's see. Aha! You have... Dang, I can't even do it right now. Like, I'm so bad. I don't know my own character's voice, so... I don't know, we'll see what happens there. So, Cocaintium, expect. A character called the Kajidoh. And it's one of those things where I made the name and the character, but I don't know how I want to pronounce it. You could easily pronounce it Daido or Daido. I don't know which one I want to do it. There's going to be a character called the Daido, I guess we're going with. The Daido. I don't know, I kind of like Daido better, even though I don't think it's spelled that way, but... I don't know, whatever. So the Daido is going to be an important character as far as backstory goes for certain Tales characters you already know. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I'm just trying to mess with you, basically, so you get interested, but it may or may not work, whatever. It's not going to work. Anyway, so the Daido is a powerful force that you guys will hopefully encounter in either Tales from Cyrodiil or Tales Universe. I don't think I want to say much more than that, as I believe it could give it away. We'll just say this person is very powerful, though. In fact, hey, you know what? Let's, like, bring this full circle. Oh, shoot, let's not, because that's a spoiler. That's too powerful of a spoiler. Well, darn. Anyway, how about we'll just say something that I said previously in the video has something to do with the Kajidoh. Maybe I'll make you go hunt for it yourself, and if you figure it out, congratulations. Renard Gustav is the third character that I'm going to bring in. And actually, I think Renard's original name was supposed to be that Rashid guy. My main problem with the name Rashid is that it sounds too close to a swear word, and I absolutely hate this name now. I thought it was a cool name to, like, write down and look at, Rashid Zanimov, or whatever it was. I don't even remember anymore. I suck, guys, sorry. But yeah, it just sounds too closely related. What's funny is Renard isn't exactly the best name choice either, so I can really name him, I guess. Gustav comes from Mega Man Legends again. It's a reference to the Gustav machine that Tron Bonne uses, sister of Teasel Bonne that I mentioned earlier. Renard Gustav is very important to the backstory of Zelos and things that happened way before the Tales from Cyrodiil series. What I mean by that is, like, things in the timeline of Wrath of Dawn and the Zelos Kajidoh origin story. So Renard Gustav you'll hopefully be seeing soon. For a bit more information on him, because I know it seems like I'm kind of dangling things on you guys, but not really giving you any important information, is I will tell you that you will find him as the champion of the Imperial City Arena. So take that to be what you will, but Renard Gustav is the champion of the Imperial Arena, and he will encounter Sir Zelos Phoenix before Zelos is a samurai. Well, actually, I don't know. What did I decide about that? I think I decided Zelos will be a samurai, but not part of the Akaviri village yet. So, when Renard and Zelos encounter each other, something very important is going to happen. So they are intertwined somehow, I suppose. And for a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of a goofy reference, a little bit of a serious reference at the same time, you could expect a little someone from a little horror series that you might find on a hill that is possibly quiet. Something to that accord. I wish such a hill that is quiet had a name, but as far as I know it doesn't, so I don't know, maybe we'll see a new mystery scary character at some point. Ooh. And now on the opposite end, of course, since we've got future characters, let's go ahead and talk about cancelled characters. His name is Rixis, and he is Shivan's evil brother who wants to turn Cyrodiil into a frozen wasteland. Yeah, that's right. Despite all the ranting I made after the auditions and stuff about not wanting evil brother or sister variants of certain characters, someone actually did convince me that an evil brother counterpart to Shivan Snow might actually be interesting for an episode or two. So I decided to go ahead and okay that. I called him Rixis. However, I could never find a model for this character. I don't think there were, like, any male ice elves that I could find around at the time. And as a result, I just kind of lost interest after a while. I didn't want to, like... I don't know, I didn't really want to, like, support the idea anymore, and it just kind of got old hat, especially since I ended up going with an evil brother variant for Alicia Ahothorn, which would... I don't even remember what his name would have been, is the thing that sucks. So, like, I know it's supposed to be a trivia video and everything, but I can't remember what this guy's name was supposed to be. Oh, hey, Mini Krabbe is back. Hooray for that. Channel meme. Anyway. The premise... Oh, hey, speaking of... The premise for Alicia having an evil brother would have actually been to get her and Cleon together at some point. Yeah, that's right. Cleon would have done something of significance, basically, if Alicia had this evil brother of hers show up. Basically, he just shows up to say, Alicia, what the crap are you doing? You're supposed to be the fiend, and you're just kind of here screwing around with these guys at Ancient Towers. You should be a fiend again. So he tries to persuade her to become the fiend again, and Cleon's not having any of that because of the Tears of the Fiend past. I don't have it all in my head anymore because this was ages ago that I came up with this, and I don't quite remember the mod as well as I used to. But it was basically just going to be a non-canon continuation of the Tears of the Fiend mod. So there's that. We also have the Nameless Assassin, who actually does in fact have a name, and in fact, If the person who was voice acting this character recognizes that I'm talking about this person, I would appreciate you not post this person's name in the comments, because I do not want this thing to have the light of day anymore. I am going to tell you about the idea, but the reason why I got rid of the idea and who the idea originally was is we're not going to discuss this on the channel ever, like ever. So the Nameless Assassin actually showed up in one of my videos while we're doing like celebrations on the number 2500. I actually think it was the 2500 subscriber special that I showed off this character first. It was either that or a Christmas video where I had a riot break out in the middle of the Imperial City. I believe it was on the Emperor's Way. I can't remember the name of it, darn. It was right outside the palace that I had this riot break out. And there was this strange masked character with an energy sword, kind of. I think it was like a flaming blue sword, actually, not an energy sword, but in any case. This mystery character showed up with this sword and participated in the riot. And I conveniently made sure not to show this person's face, so that person would have ended up being a nameless assassin coming back to take revenge on Zelos Phoenix for something. And this person would have also gotten involved with Kajidoh in a special way. So there's that character that was cancelled. It was a character named Truth that I was going to do. A huge villain character named Truth, where it was... The premise for this guy was kind of strange. I never really worked out the details. Basically, what was going to happen is this character went through a couple names. They were Truth and the Invisible Hand. And in both forms, this villain... It's hard to, like, explain how this works. This character doesn't really exist. But he is in, like, everyone's mind. I have no idea if this will make any sense or not, but this character does not exist. But he's there. Everyone can see him. Everyone can interact with him. Who's in the main cast. People, like, if I were to find a random Imperial Guard walking around or something on this path up here, they wouldn't know, they would never see this person. If he were to just walk into a city or something, nobody would see this person. So, like, if Zelos is fighting this character, it basically looks like Zelos is just swinging his sword at the air and nothing's really happening and he's getting thrown around by himself. So, this is a character who exists, but does not in the same light. And the main reason I canceled this character is because I couldn't figure out, like, the best way to describe how this character came to be. It's just easy enough to say that he's in everyone's head, move on. You're all just crazy and you're all collectively seeing the same figure, but I had no idea, like, how to explain this in a better way. This guy was also going to be in my Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, but I ran into the same problem where I couldn't explain where he came from, so I threw him out. The villain Truth actually shows up in my Zelda Classic series now. He shows up in AU, and he will show up in Lost Lineage as well. So he did get his limelight. He's not in the same sense though. Like, he actually does exist in that series. But yeah, it was just a strange character idea that I wanted to work with, and I just never got around to figuring out how he could actually work. Oh, the final one is Manamarco. Poor Vamp. He gave me a line from Manamarco like 5 years ago, and I just never got around to using it. There is a joke that, like, the punchline will be 5 years later in Tales from Cyrodiil, if I ever get to it. I have the joke, it's set up, it'll be like a decent joke, but I just haven't fit it anywhere yet. I never used it. I was also going to let Vamp play Manamarco for some other goofy skits, and I just never got around to it. I think Vamp actually showed up on the recent Teamudf news, so he might still be out there, so... Sorry, Vamp, I know you did some work to get that Manamarco line out to me, but haven't used it yet. We'll hopefully use it at some point. No, there's just a few canceled characters for the Tales series, I suppose. Some of my favorite ideas are canceled, unfortunately. Oh, we can do that as the next segment, then. Let's talk about some favorites of mine. Oh, my favorite Tales episode is 12, the Market Day episode. I just think that episode, like, really worked as far as getting back to the improv was concerned. Those of you who remember the series, like the Sunder era, I guess the Merc Genesis saga I called it earlier, from Tales 8 to 11, just took for freaking ever to upload and get finished and stuff. And it was because I had completely, like, written out all the scenes and I was barely improving anything. There was just no improvising in any of those episodes, more or less. And I hated it. I didn't want anything to do with it. So, that's not to say that I, like, completely hate all those episodes. It's just, it wasn't the style that I came to know from Tales, and it was really hard to get through. So I guess I'm being like, too harsh on the series and myself. So Tales 12 after that was just a breath of fresh air. I could do whatever I wanted. I barely wrote any lines for that whole episode. I just thought of the Market Day joke and ran with it for a whole episode. Did some amusing things with Sean and Hunter, Ruintail and McGahan and stuff. We got McGahan back on the cast to do some voices. We finally had the impending battle coming for Zelos and Kajidoh, which, incidentally, is my favorite fight in the entire series, Zelos versus Kajidoh, from Tales 13. It's just like, it's 20 seconds of greatness. That's all I can think about that as. And I know that might seem a little egotistical, but you have to look at this from my perspective. Like, out of all the crap I've done, the thing that I like most is this, like, little dinky 20-second fight between the main character and his foil. So, I just did things, and they worked, and they edited it in very nicely. I didn't have to... There was no hassle in getting these things to work. It demonstrated some things that I wanted to demonstrate in the series, like... Do I have one on me? I don't think I've got one on me. But, like, the dodging of the attacks and things, and the back flips off the bridge to dodge the lightning. Like, it just came through together. Kajido's counter to Zelos, swiping a sword at him and saying, "Ah, game over, you can't win." Kajido's like, "Ah, yes, I still can," and he blasts him away. That whole exchange I just loved. Was incidentally followed up by my least favorite fight ever. But we'll do favorite character. My favorite character to write for is Captain Blue. His lines write themselves. Grammar. I have to do... There is zero work involved in making Captain Blue a fun character. I just say crap out of my mouth and it works for some reason. It's just so much fun to be ridiculously goofy and over the top for no reason and actually have it work. So I love the Captain Blue character. I guess I'd say for my favorite character that I do not voice, that would have to be Nikolai. Klaus did a lot of hard work in getting the Nikolai character to come off as being very daunting and impressive. His voice fit completely. He was a believable villain for that saga. He came off as exactly what I wanted, and it was just perfect. Unfortunately, I goofed, and I spent too long getting the series done, so now I'm pretty sure Klaus is gone, but I don't know, man. If you're out there, congratulations, because you did one heck of a job on Nikolai. I couldn't have done it better. There's just no way. I could not have done Nikolai justice. As evidenced by my goofy Victor voice. Hollow Cabin, what is this? I know this mod. Can't remember what it's for, though. Let's not go inside, in case I trigger, like, a cutscene or something. But yeah, so those are my favorites for the series, and now let's go to the opposite side. So as I alluded to, my least favorite fight happens to come right after my favorite fight of all time, is that Kajidoh versus Engo fight. So, right after getting the Zelos Kajidoh fight, you'd think I'd be able to do something decent in the next scene. Literally one scene after that, Kajidoh and Engo have their fight. And I just screwed it up completely. Like, the camera was all wrong, I was too slow in following the characters, the sound was off, because if you've never tried to, like, record a machinima in Oblivion before, sound works in a very stupid way in this game. So, the sound that you hear is completely dependent on your character's location. So if I take myself out of my camera right now and go super far away from Kajidoh right here, and then draw my sword, you will still hear the sword as though it's in your ear, because it's taking sound to be from your character, but it doesn't account for the fact that you might not be in the camera. So, it'll sound the same no matter what, like what distance I'm from, if I go away. So, unfortunately, when I have two non-player characters fighting each other, like Ango and Kajidoh at the time, Kajidoh and Ango were not close enough to where my character was, so the sound was all off, and the music made it sound awkward too. So just this fight, I hate this fight. I was so disappointed with myself after I got like my dream match with Zealous and Kajidoh for a good 20 seconds or so, and then I just followed up with the stupidest fight ever, and then the ending of the fight was ruined. The end of that fight is supposed to be Ango showing off his meteor attack. What the heck? Is that the Sky Castle? The end of the fight is supposed to be the meteor attack by Ango. It is the Sky Castle, where Ango shows off his power and just blasts Kajidoh away with the meteors. But the way the meteors work, and this is a Midas magic spell. Midas magic is great. I'm not going to fault it. Is the meteors come out of your character model. So I had a problem in that I had to be able to fire these meteors from my character model, but remain in the air so that I could point the camera at Kajidoh getting blasted with these meteors. And there's a problem here, is that my character had to stay in the air high enough for these meteors to look like they were coming from the sky. But if I turn off collision, the meteors won't budge. Like, they won't move because they have collision to them. They need to fly through the air in order to hit something. So if I turn collision off so that I can float, the meteors won't do anything. So I was completely screwed there. So instead you get like a really bad camera angle of the meteors coming down and hitting the bridge, and you're supposed to imply that Kajidoh gets hit by the meteors instead of being able to actually see it. So it's just some goofy difficulties with the series that I really hate. So on that note, my least favorite episode of them all is episode 9. My main problem with episode 9 is that, the horrible sound. It was episode 10 that I figured out how to edit, like, so you have this track, right? You have a single track of all these audio files from Tales 1 to Tales 9. I thought I had to edit all the music on the track at the same time, and that I wasn't able to just like click and drag one track and edit it by itself. I thought it was going to edit the entire track. So Tales 9, the first song was kind of loud, so I had to lower it. And as I progressed through the freaking track, I ran into the problem where I couldn't lower the previous music sound because I thought it would lower the later music sound. So I just didn't lower the music anymore after a certain point, and it's like impossible to hear what some of these characters are saying. There were just so many editing problems with Tales 9, like getting those fights to work was an abysmal nightmare. I loved how the fight itself turned out. It was just chaos between these three teams, but getting it all to work, and you saw how many problems I had with getting that nuclear blast to land where it was supposed to, and just all these NPCs doing what they wanted. I was so pissed off at this episode. I hated this episode. The lines have odd pitches, so like, she even says, the girl or something, and McGain says, what about the girl, instead of like, what about the girl? The motivation is off, and it's not McGain's fault. I should have sent him back the line and said, no, say it like this instead, but I was like too stubborn, and I wanted to get episode 9 done, so I rushed it, basically. And I put in these lines that just, they don't seem like they should fit the scenario that they're in. They have the wrong pitch at the wrong time. And it happened with Nora as well, and God, I hate this freaking episode so much. So, Tales 9 ended up being like my least favorite episode of all time. Incidentally, I think that's like one of the only episodes without a thumbs down, and if you watched my Teamudf Unhinged, you know I don't like really give a crap about thumbs down, but I basically take that as a notion that if you've watched my stuff regularly, Like, I can't believe that was the episode everyone liked, because it came like that in the comments, too, that everyone was like, wow, that episode was awesome. And I'm just sitting here feeling like crap the whole time, like, man, this episode was trash, I never want to do this again. Incidentally, the same thing happened with episode 6, the Zealous Vath fight. I think just any episode that I hate, you guys have liked. I don't know. I felt that way about 14 as well, and you guys really liked 14. So maybe if I hate something, you'll just automatically like it. I've got no clue. My least favorite character is Alicia. And it has nothing to do with Xantical. It has nothing to do with Tears of the Fiend. It's just, I hate this character because I have nothing for her to do. There is just no idea that I have for her now. That the evil brother idea is dead. She's just kind of sitting there doing nothing. I kind of wanted her to turn into like a sarcastic character. Like you saw in Tales 14, she just basically does not care that Captain Blue's probably outside the tower getting killed or something at night. So I wanted her to be very sarcastic and just uncaring for the stupidity of Cleon and Captain Blue, but I just feel like I have nothing for this character to do at all. And I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where I forced the character in the series because of her relationship to Cleon in Tears of the Fiend, and then I never found anything for her to do. So, again, it's not like a knock on the mod itself or the voice actress. I just cannot figure out what I want to do with this character, and that's where my frustration lies. So there's that. A thing I generally, like, hate the most about the series is how a bunch of the voices went back and forth. Like, I started as Ruintail, then I passed it off to someone, then I started going slow, so he disappeared, and I had to take back Ruintail's voice. Xerus did Vath's voice for a while, and Vath... So what sucks here is that, again, I allowed myself to get too lazy. Xerus sent me this, like, this really good, calm version of Vath's voice, and I wanted him to do that voice, and then when he suddenly did Vath's voice in, like, episode 7 or something, he was suddenly, like, a lot angrier and more vicious sounding in the tone, and I wasn't, like, really sure I wanted that for Vath, but again, I was lazy, so I just said, okay, fine, go ahead and keep doing it like that. And then Vath disappeared. Well, Xerus disappeared. I actually found out Xerus didn't disappear at some point, but by then, I had taken the voice back over, and I was doing my kind of deep voice that I tried to distinguish from Zelos Phoenix, but I'm probably doing a crappy job of doing that. So I didn't want to flip-flop Vath's voice back a 4th time and just piss everyone off, so you have the voices that you've got now, mainly because I don't want to keep swapping voices 1,000 times in the first season, let alone the first 10 episodes, you know? So, I don't know. I love this series so much when I get the time to sit down and do it, but if I don't, or something goes wrong, I just feel like crap afterwards, so... Yeah, there are definitely things I hate about the series. Of course, there are some blatant things, like I wish I was better at editing, I could set up the episodes in a quicker fashion. I wish I had, like, more professional After Effects to add, or something, that you wouldn't have to freaking hear my clock or my fan or my computer in the background when I'm doing lines, and there's no music in the background, but... I don't know, for all the bad things that I think the series brings, I think it brings more good things. The memorable characters and stuff. So those are my least favorites. Let's not get off topic here. Alright. The final thing isn't really a thing. It's just kind of I wanted to do a small Q&A. Some of you guys came to a stream and you asked some serious questions. You asked a lot of goofy questions, so let's just do some questions for, like, the final thing. I'll say my final bit, I'll say thanks for watching, boy, and we'll head off into the sunset for another 2,500 videos, probably, so let's get going. Will we get to see, so keep in mind that even though a lot of these questions are goofy, I will try to answer them as seriously as I can, like, if it has any implication to the series whatsoever developing, I'll try to, like, expand on it in a serious manner, actually. So, like, this first question in the first place, like, will we ever get to see more of Captain Blue's Dovahkiin swagger? Clearly, it's a goofy question. But if I was doing something like Tales from Skyrim, I would be able to answer, well, if I do Tales from Skyrim, you know, it would be pretty funny if Captain Blue ended up being, like, the Dovahkiin instead of Zelos or Kajidoh or someone. And it's funny because he's a bumbling idiot, so something like that. So for Tales from Cyrodiil, Captain Blue's Dovahkiin swagger, I don't know if I have the Dovahkiin mod anymore. I don't recall seeing the helmet. Maybe I can find it. Or maybe if I scroll past it and don't notice it, someone can point it out in the video. Although I'm using 480p for this, so probably not. Because I don't want the file size to be huge when it's said and done. But, I'm sure at some point there will be more Skyrim references, even if I don't do Tales from Skyrim, which again, I'm probably not, so don't stop hassling me about that, basically. It's not coming, let's just say. Yeah, we could do something probably goofy with Captain Blue's Dovahkiin thing again. I actually did have a scene I wanted to do where, after, like, Skyrim or something is mentioned, then, you know how I do, like, those goofy scenes after the see you next time credits or whatever? The scene for that episode would be, like, a shot of Zelos, Cleon, and Captain Blue in Skyrim, and Captain Blue would do, like, the Fusro Da or something. That was what I had planned in the past, but yeah, obviously not happening anymore now that I've lost all my save data and stuff, so yeah. Alright. The next question, will the H ever fit? I love the running gimmick of the Kajidoh, the H won't fit on the banner. If you have no clue where that joke even comes from, because it's just referenced so often, it's in part 1 of Servant of the Dawn, where Kathis, I think his name was, is telling your character, like, what to do in order to join the Mythic Dawn. And I said, I'll do anything to join the Mythic Dawn. And in the next scene, so I did a skit in the middle of a mod review, which a bunch of people just did not take kindly to and started, like, thumbs down bombing my video. So screw them, basically. So Kajidoh says he'll do anything to join the Mythic Dawn. He ends up playing Legend of Zelda Parallel Worlds. And then A Link to the Past, you can only have 6 characters in your name. So when he tries to spell out Kajidoh, the H doesn't fit. He's like, it doesn't fit, and I don't know, it just kind of evolved into a thing from there. It's one of those accidental channel memes, I guess, so that one's kind of cool. Will the H ever fit, though? I don't know, I guess if I want the meme to die, the H will fit. Well, let's say the meme's not gonna die. Next question, how many more people are... okay, convenient enough. How many more people are going to play Parallel Worlds? I don't know, I'm not sure if the joke has run its course or not. I don't know, I'm sure I can find some scenarios where it might still be funny, but other than that, it might have run its course already. I think by the time I got it to Shivan, I think, like, only a couple people chuckled and they're like, oh yeah, that thing again, so if it's, like, died out, I don't want to overkill it, like 4 hearts of damage I overkilled and that never caught on, so it caught on for, like, the couple people who thought it was funny, but I, like, forced it down everyone's throats and it didn't work. Didn't I? Oh, I was gonna say, I thought I saw something over here. Alright. Next question, will Tyrant ever get his rematch in Super Bomberman? So again, actually a question I can kind of somewhat answer seriously is because I'm not sure if I want to bring back the Super Bomberman joke as like a means of competition. I think it could still work. The problem is I'd have to find a way to record the emulator in 720p since Tails is in 720p now. That's the main reason it disappeared. But other than that, yeah, I did actually have a progression in mind where more Bomberman games would slowly start to be released in the Tales from Cyrodiil universe, and they would eventually fight each other in, like, the Nintendo 64 era Super Bombermans, or the Nintendo 64 era Bomberman and stuff like that. Did I just wrap around to Shadenhall again? God dang it, man. So possibly, actually, you might actually see a rematch of Super Bomberman. Next question, will Cleon and Captain Blue ever face off in a WWE ring? Well, obviously... God, man, why am I using that word so much this episode? Screw myself, man. Anyway, I don't know what any of that was, sorry. Anyway. It is actually true that when I was doing WWE UDF for a while... I'm going to stop jumping around because people are probably getting annoyed. It is actually true that WWE UDF for a while was meant to have Cleon, Captain Blue, Kajidoh, and Zelos. Cleon and Captain Blue were the commentators, usually. Zelos and Kajidoh were the commentators as well, but eventually I was going to have Kajidoh trick Zelos into fighting the Undertaker and losing, because the Undertaker is the Undertaker and Zelos stands no chance. Then Zelos would feud with Kajidoh for a while. Cleon and Captain Blue would get into a fight and, like, who should win. And then they would fight each other. So, yeah, they were supposed to. But now that I'm not, like, really doing WWE UDF anymore, they probably won't. I don't know. It really stems from that joke in, what was the mod called? It was that really good one, Adosh, City of Magic, where Cleon and Captain Blue are, like, commentating fights between monsters as though they're WWE announcers or something. But, yeah, so it was meant to be a thing. It probably won't now, but if it is, I guess you know it's coming, so whatever. Next question. Will Swindle Chopper ever make an appearance? Yes, but only if I can find a good use for it. I don't just want to randomly start coming in and whispering Swindle Chopper for no reason. That's like it's a pretty campy joke I want to save for something good. Next question. Where did Red Sonja go? Yeah, isn't that a good question? Red Sonja is one of those things where I was going to bring her back and keep her rolling for the... I was going to keep her in Cleon's Emporium, basically. However... At some point, I think it was when I installed everything on my new machine, the Red Sonja mod didn't work. And this is to no fault of the mod creator. I know exactly what happened. I tried to transfer everything over in one fell swoop, and for some reason it just didn't take several files. I don't know why. So things like CM partners and stuff are probably all screwed up because I just never reinstalled them properly on this machine. The game itself ran much better than on my laptop, but just some of the mods are broken, and Red Sonja was one of them that got broken. I think her face was just like this black box or something. I can't remember. It was really screwed up. And I just never decided to reinstall it, so... she's more or less gone, I guess. If she comes back, her role will probably be restricted to working for Cleon's Emporium. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's about it. Next question. Are you going to use the Paladin armor or anything from Lost Paladin of the Divines? I had this idea where Zelos runs into a Paladin wearing the armor and helps the Paladin in a dire situation. And so the Paladin awards Zelos the shield that the Paladin had. Do I have it? Oh my god, I put it away or something. I must have been over encumbered. I bet it's in the Midas chest. Let's look for that while I talk. So Zelos was going to run into this Paladin and eventually be given the shield. And at like just the right point, maybe just when I probably could have guaranteed that the viewers forgot about the shield, he would bust it out and be like, oh, wait a minute. I'm going to lose this super important plot relevant fight, but I have this shield that I got in the past. Where the heck did it go? There we go. And now I'm going to actually start defending with the shield and basically win, so... I know I'm Kajidoh right now, shut up, but yeah. But yeah, that's kind of an idea I have for use of the Paladin armor. And a Paladin himself. It would also be good for like a one-shot character or something. Get like a new voice actor on, because I like doing the voices. I hope you guys like me doing a lot of the voices as well. I hope I'm not just like draining your ears by doing all these voices, but... there are some characters I would like to do where I just don't want to do their voice, so if it's a one-shot character or something, it could be like a Paladin for an episode or two. You can just get some new characters in every so often. But that way it's just not the same characters 24/7, and if some of them get boring, you don't have to rely on them just every episode. I don't know. So yeah. Next question. Will Aaron Matthew become a base? I guess... it was intended to be a base via my previous plans that I read about earlier, which I actually didn't remember until I started reading them, so this random trivia actually helped me remember some of the things I had in the past. Aaron Matthew does have a use in the future. If I get to Season 2 of Tales from Cyrodiil, and when I say Season 2, I mean like Season 2 that's in my timeline, it will probably be post-tournament. So if I finish the tournament saga, there you go. We'll actually be seeing... Aaron Matthew do something fairly important. It's actually super important when you think about who would have control of it, but spoilerific! So, I don't want to give away the name of the person who would have control of Aaron Matthew, because I think it would lead to too many spoilers. Like, you could say that, well, if that's going to happen, then obviously this has to happen, and then this has to happen, and this has to... I think you could start a string of spoiler statements with that. So, for now, I'll just say, yeah, Aaron Matthew does have a use. Okay. Let me see. Those are the end of the questions I've written down. Can I just scroll through anything here and think of anything else? I guess not. The video's probably too long by now anyway. If you seriously lasted this whole video, I'd like to thank you so much for your dedication to Tales from Cyrodiil. Not just in this video, but the series as a whole. I know it was easily, like... It could have easily been the biggest thing on the channel, and it might have even been super popular or something, but I just screwed it up by going too slowly. And I know even some of you probably watching this video would be like, well, why would you then turn around and tell us all these amazing things that could have happened if you didn't suck so bad? And my response to that is, I don't know. I just like random trivia. My other ideas for the 2500th video fell through, and I just kind of wanted to do something fun to get me back into Oblivion and get me back doing stuff. If you were paying attention, you saw me on the mountains up here somewhere with Benji and them. Hey, here's some minor spoilers. I was actually up there earlier recording Tales 16, so yeah, there you go, it worked. It got me back into Oblivion. I'm going ahead on Tales 16. Guess as a bonus for anyone who's been listening this far. Although if you skipped to the end, you're a little cheater, but if you listened this far, I'd like to reward you with a small spoiler. Tales 15 is done. You will see it in February of 2015. So I would say look forward to that. Hopefully Tales 16 will come right after it. I want to make it to the 20. I want to keep going with this series because it's super fun. Why is my mouse disconnecting? God, this computer's getting old. But yeah, again, just the dedication that you guys have shown to the Tales series. Some of you have drawn me fan art that I hope I remember to put up, like right now, or somewhere in the video or something. You guys have drawn me fan art, you've like petitioned ideas, you continually encourage me to keep working on the series. You playfully say it's like to bug me and get me from being like unlazy, but I know deep down I think some of you guys are just like really trying to help out, and I know some of you want to do more. Like I've had people ask, can I like help you edit this or something, because I think it's great, I want to see more. I appreciate all of that. If there was like an easy way to get someone else to edit the series, you bet I would just record it and hand it over and be like, alright, let's make this thing super cool. But as a one-man show, I don't necessarily hate what I've done. I certainly know I can do a lot better with the editing, production and stuff. You can tell sometimes in an episode when I've just gotten too lazy, I want to move on, I want to get this scene edited and go to the next scene. But it's all meant to be in good fun. It's just a fun series that I want to do for you guys. That's really all it is. It's not here to like win an award or become like a super popular machinima channel or something. It's just to have goofy fun times with a serious plot here and there. You've got the goofiness and characters like Captain Blue and Cleon. You've got the serious assassin characters like freaking Vath and Ango. There are more things to come, hopefully. Remember my my promise for this year is that I either get to Tales 20 by the end of 2015, or I shut it down and just do the written series. I want to do the written series as well, though, because there's a lot of origin stories I have to tell you about. In fact, if you remember that Wrath of Dawn thing I was talking about, that's more or less the first book that I'm trying to write for the series, is just expanding on that Wrath of Dawn a lot more, instead of like what a 30-minute video can do. There are specials and movies I want to do in the future. It's all in time. If it falls into place, then I'll see you for all that fun stuff. I really hope it does, because I'd hate to give up this world. Like, my God, I've just grown to love this world so much. Even if it's not in Oblivion. Like, I really think I managed to do what I wanted to do for my writing, is create memorable characters that people can get behind and actually want to have fun with. All I have to do now is I just need the time to actually do something with them. So hopefully I will be able to do something with them that you guys will find to be like satisfactory to your entertainment or something. So that's it. That's 2,500 videos of Teamudf gaming, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves on the channel. I hope you continue to enjoy yourselves on the channel. I hope to see you around for Tales from Cyrodiil, for Zelda, for Oblivion, for the next Elder Scrolls game if it comes out, for whatever the crap we're doing, things like Tribes Ascend. I guess I haven't done that in ages. How about we find something a little more recent? What am I doing that's recent? I guess Splinter Cell I started to upload. I did Portal 2 with Zan, so that'll be fun at some point. Whole lot of future games. If you play Trouble in Terrorist Town or Zombies with us or something, hope you have a good time with that as well. Just a whole bunch of stuff that I want to do. I want to keep this going. I want to keep having fun. Because even though this drives me insane, this is really hard to do. It makes me more sane because it doesn't deal with the insanity that, like, being a student and a teacher at the same time would bring. Like, I am just wiped sometimes when I get home from Purdue or Ivy Tech or whatever, because I'm playing the role as a graduate student and a teacher, so I just like to come home and be myself for a while on this channel. That's why I keep doing this. If I wasn't for this, then, hey, I wouldn't be doing it, right? So there's got to be some value in this, otherwise I would have shut down a long time ago. So, I don't know, will we hit another 2,500 videos? Will I be seeing you for video 5,000? I don't freaking know. Will I be seeing you for year 10 celebration? I don't freaking know, but let's say we'll do it. We'll say we'll go for it. We'll have some fun. I'm done with these sappy speeches. Alright, we're good. We've hopefully got the points. I'm wasting your time now. So let's say goodbye for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time, of course, for more Teamudf Gaming. If you have any questions on anything I've said here, you want me to elaborate more, or just like, what the flid, go ahead and leave a comment. I'll try to get back to you in this video. If it's not, like, spoilerific, I'll try to say it's spoilers if it is, but hopefully someone enjoyed this, because, again, my other ideas fell through, so, I don't know. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye!